Eyes in the sky. Movement.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, to Cohom Gaming. I'm Cohom, and I'm honored you stopped by. And as you can see, the thing we've all been anxiously awaiting has finally happened. That's right, it finally dropped. The second episode of the Cohom Gaming channel. And for those who might not know, Sledgehammer Games obviously decided to commemorate the release of my second episode by launching World War II. So shout out to Sledgehammer Games.
Blue, you're my boy!
I wasn't lucky enough to land an early copy of the game, so today was really my first chance to play the official title. After playing for the last several hours, I thought I'd share some of my thoughts on the game so far. I know the game is only in its first day of being live, so I'll try and take that into account as I run down my list of the good, the bad, and the ugly of Call of Duty World War II. I thought I'd start out the list with the good. What has Sledgehammer done right after working on the game for the last 3 years? To start out, the game looks great. The environments are lush and detailed, and the maps really add to the feeling you're battling your way across Europe or fending off the advance of Axis forces. The character models also look great, and although they're not to the level of Battlefield, they are some of the best we've seen in Call of Duty so far. The maps I've had a chance to play have been visually interesting, and while they do a great job of immersing you in 1940s World War II, they do suffer from some of the chaotic multi-flank issues that plagued Advanced Warfare and Ghosts. Time will tell, however, how they play, so I'll reserve judgment on playability until a later date. The second thing Sledgehammer has done right is the fact that they've obviously gone out of their way to make the game more social, adding in public supply drops, public prestiges, a public 1v1 arena, and things like a score streak testing range. Now, I have to say, I had a ton of fun trying out the score streaks. You wouldn't think blowing up what are essentially enemy recruit bots would be so entertaining, but it really was. I spent a good 20 minutes dropping carpet bombs and mortar fire or strafing little bots from the ball turret. I hope using the streaks in the real game are as satisfying as hearing the clicks and pops of hit markers as I demolish little Nazis, or when little German forces run straight through the substantial inferno left behind in the aftermath of the bombing run. And in fact, World War II has a number of new activities, including checking mail, getting what are essentially bounties from Major Howard, the firing range, a movie theater, and even playing classic Activision video games in the R&R area. It really feels like Sledgehammer was inspired by the Tower in Destiny, and that's a good thing since the community for Call of Duty is often seen as less positive and less welcoming than that of the Destiny community. Which is odd since several of the players I met in raids or in Nightfalls were avid COD players. But the experience of Destiny has always been much more social and positive than that of Call of Duty. Another thing Sledgehammer did right was the emblem editor. While overall it looks like the editor in Infinite Warfare, Sledgehammer added small tweaks that place it above the Infinity Ward version. First, now when you group layers, not only can you move them together, but you can scale and color them together. World War II also adds in a choice of 2 fonts and the ability to have capital and lowercase letters. It doesn't sound like much, but if you're trying to create a work of art that reflects your personality, it makes it that much easier to achieve. The next good thing is, well, unfortunately that's about all I've found so far, and you'll hear why over the next few minutes. So let's move on to the bad. Now the first thing I have in the bad category is a bit subjective. It may have something to do with coming off 3 years of hyper movement that many people grew tired of, but the boots on the ground movement in World War II feels incredibly slow and limiting to me. Going back to 4 seconds of sprint and aim down sight times that feel like you're drawing your weapon through molasses is taking some getting used to. I'm sure I'll adapt over time, as every new release of COD has little quirks or differences that you have to get used to after playing one way for the full year. So that's a small one. And speaking of Infinite Warfare, the next entry into the bad category is not so much a thing Sledgehammer is doing wrong as much as it is something that Infinity Ward did right. Infinite Warfare preloaded maps while everyone was in the lobby, and by the time the countdown began, the maps were already well on their way to being ready. As a result, maps appeared to load extremely quickly, with gameplay starting in just a few seconds. Going from that to World War II has made me truly appreciate just how short those loading screens were, so kudos to Infinity Ward. Treyarch, take note for your release in 2018. The next thing in the bad category is more a potential bad, and I'll make a final judgment on it after I've had a few more days of play under my belt. But in the same way World War II has adopted some of the positive things about Destiny, it feels like it may have picked up some of the negative things about Destiny, in a grind or you'll be left behind kind of way. Having social experience rating that affects your chances of getting better drops has the potential to make you feel like you have to constantly be ranking up your social score to get that elusive heroic variant. While the differences in weapon variants are purely cosmetic now, that's what they said in Black Ops 3, and look how that ended up. I also noticed players have the ability to get bonuses based off of the number of consecutive days they've played. This is almost surely something they learned from Snapchat Streaks, where the app tells you how many consecutive days two people have communicated with each other. But gamification, the act of weaving game elements into non-game activities, is a powerful motivator. Studies have found that Snapchatters give their passwords to up to 5 friends in order to keep the snap streak alive. And Sledgehammer clearly wants to use every tool in the bag to keep you in the World War II virtual world. But, as I said, time will tell how this turns out. Now I'll move to the ugly category. These are game-breaking issues that need to be fixed, and fixed quickly. The first of which is the general bugginess I've experienced so far. I have never had the experience of packet loss and skipping around the map in the tower for Destiny, but I found myself lagging around the social space in the same way I've done the herky-jerky dance when the host has a god-awful connection in Team Deathmatch. I realize this is very likely a result of the millions of people trying to log into World War II on launch day, so I'm hoping this will be fixed soon. It's merely frustrating, or even sometimes funny, in the social space, but it's infuriating during gameplay. There were several times that after a match, I found myself stuck in the score screen and would have to quit the game to get back to a lobby. In fact, more often than not, I was left staring at the score for several minutes after each map. Or, there were multiple instances where it took several minutes to load the social space, which is required before you join a public match. One time, after waiting what seemed like an eternity, the social space loaded and I found myself all alone. Even the strange choir of players you'd usually find around what I like to call Supply Drop Square was missing, and I was all alone in this virtual world, save for the non-player characters built into the game. So, that's all I have on my list for the good, the bad, and the ugly for World War II so far. I have no doubt that many of the issues I raised here will be fixed quickly, maybe even by the time this video comes out, and, as I said, I have to give Sledgehammer a little leeway since this is the launch day of their new title. So I want to know what your experience with World War II has been so far. Let me know in the comments section the things you like and the things that you wish were better. If you liked today's episode, a like rating is always appreciated, and if you want me to do more episodes like this, please subscribe. As always, thanks for spending some time with me. I truly appreciate it. Until next time, stay positive and don't let the small things get you down.